Thank you.
All right, good morning and happy Tuesday and welcome to the Builders Best Practices call. And just as a reminder, we do this on the first and third Tuesdays of every month. And the purpose behind this call is to focus on attraction and recruiting and all of the conversations surrounding that. And it is an open forum. So as well, if you have anything that you would like specifically to discuss on today's agenda, I have some things I brought to today, but if there's something you would like to discuss, if you could throw that in the chat, that would be amazing. It looks like we have a small group to start this morning. We'll see where we go from there. MC, I like that so much better in the background, but I love your face even more. Are you available?
My computer is the camera doesn't work.
Oh,
Periodically it's quite annoying.
got it.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people in the last week that have struggled with their computers, and they're like, I mean, really getting frustrated with it. They were like, it's worked yesterday, it doesn't work today. I'm like, this is an epidemic. Uh,
Yeah.
Mine often gets confused about which camera I want it to use. I have one on my laptop and then one in the front.
Uh,
It's like,
yeah.
who do you want to be today? Well, good morning, ladies. So if there's something specific you want to discuss, we can absolutely do that. But today I had intended to focus on the revenue share changes that were announced, right? MC, have you had a chance to review that or look at that or think about that at all?
To be honest, when it gets past, my first line, I don't understand it anyway. So
Oh, okay. Then perfect. This is a great conversation to have today. So obviously there are a lot of big changes that came out. I'll review just a couple of them, just so that we can kind of discuss that first. We had the change in the number of people. So MC, I'll kind of back up actually. And let's do that for a second. I'm going to pull it up in our web page just so you see it from that perspective. And we've already updated it on ours, but this will give you a really good idea of what that looks like. And I'll share my screen. Here we go. And share. Okay. And this is on our Empire Builders Pro page. If you just go to attraction and recruiting and EXP FAQs, you can scroll down and find this. So this is the breakout of the tiers, right? So obviously you have people who you will directly recruit. That's your frontline, right? Frontline agents, FLAs. And when they close transactions and they earn at least 5,000 in GCI every 6 months, they become an FLQA, qualifying agent, right? And that is when you can earn revenue share from those agents. Okay. Now, prior to this announcement, in order to earn anything on anyone who's in your tier 2, meaning someone in your tier 1 recruited someone into tier 2, right? They brought someone on, so that's their front line. In order to earn any revenue share from this tier, MC, you had to have 5 qualifying agents in tier 1, 5 people who were earning at least $5,000 in GCI once every 6 months in order to qualify. So 5 in order to get to tier 2, you had to have 10 in order to open up tier 3, you had to have 15 in order to open up tier 4, and then it went down, and 30 was still always down to tier 7. You had to have 30 in order to open up all 7 levels. Does that make sense? And MC, feel free to come off of mute at any point if there's something I'm saying that does not make sense for any reason, okay? So with the changes, now they're opening up all 3 levels to all agents so that you do not have to have qualifying people in these first 3 levels. So MC, let's say that you had 4 people in your front line and 2 of those people brought a couple people into the second line. Before, you would have never been earning revenue share, maybe just a tiny bit, like sometimes I get like a bit off of those people for whatever reason. And I'll use mine as an example because I do have people in my front line, my second line, and my third line. But I have not yet gotten to 5 people in my front line. Let's use that word. So I have never earned anything on tier 2 or tier 3, even though people in tier 2 and tier 3 have been qualifying, right? It's been very sad for me to see that revenue share just go away. Like, it goes back into the company pool, MC, is what's happening to it whenever you don't have enough qualifying agents. Going forward, I will now earn revenue share on those people because all 3 levels are now open. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
I know, it's amazing, right? So, and then now it's 5 in order to open up tier 4, 10 to open up tier 5, 15 to open up tier 6, and then still the 30 to open up 7 levels. Now, the reason that this is important as well is if you look at the numbers about how much you can earn per agent in those levels, you earn the most on level 7 per agent. Okay, so when you this can be very impactful for people who do have 7 levels, because typically the way that it works is your tree sort of looks like this, right? You have people that you recruit in your front line, but over time those people recruit and your line starts to look much like a pyramid. So the bottom is much wider, right? So that's where the most of the money is earned, is on 6 and 7 down here. It really is, because it starts to do this. You get way more people. Casey will often mention this whenever she's on these calls, that tier 6 and tier 7 are 50% of her organization. It's like 46 right now, 46% of her organization. So when we don't have 30 people in the front line and we lose tier 7, that can be very impactful financially. Very, very impactful, right? Go ahead,
And
Michelle.
those have to be 30 qualified
Qualifying.
frontline qualifiers. Okay.
Frontline qualifiers in order to get to that level. As an example, we have 58 people in the front line, and not all of those are qualifying, right? So it's often a battle to get to 30. You know, often a lot of stress every month to make sure that people are qualifying enough. So the key behind this is that, you know, the beauty behind it is that this has now been opened up. Why is this important for recruiting?
It's going to give the average agent, well, they're, you know, when you approach someone about EXP, they're like, I'm not a recruiter. I don't want to recruit. And you can present, you know, you don't have to recruit. It's not about recruiting. But if you're liking EXP and somebody approaches you, or you have a good transaction with somebody, you could share with them the opportunity to earn some extra income on these 3 levels.
Exactly.
And it doesn't take much to get a few people and to get some revenue share. It's just a bonus on the icing, you know, on the top of the cake.
Exactly. And it may be that you're, like you said, you may never be a recruiter. However, your influence in the marketplace, people will ask questions, right? People will be interested to know why you are with this company, why you've made this change. That happens a lot. I just brought somebody on board in New Hampshire, and almost immediately after 22 years with Keller Williams, his phone started ringing. Tell me why you made the change. Tell me what happened. What made you make this decision? Tell me a little bit more about it. And all of a sudden, he's starting to line up appointments as a result of that, right? So it doesn't mean that I mean, he runs a successful team. It wasn't, you know, you don't have to have the idea that that's going to be your gig is to be a recruiter. However, you could put someone in your line that then does. And so this starts to grow organically. And that's something you can explain to an agent when you're recruiting. It's very organic how it starts to happen. There are people who will be intentional about it, and there will be people who are not. Either way, you still have the potential to earn income from it. And before, you had to really focus on being a builder in order to earn on these 3 levels. Now, EXP has opened it up that even if you're not a builder, your influence still means something to you and you can still earn from it, right? Very impactful.
And I think too, so somebody comes in and maybe a few people follow them, and then all of a sudden they're getting this rev share, and then they may go, wow, okay. So then they're more apt to want to recruit. After that, they start seeing that, oh, this rev share thing, actually, there's something to it.
Yeah.
So for me, like when I joined, I didn't start out of the gate trying to recruit. I focused on keeping my business flowing so that people, because we're such a small community here, they could see, hey, she made that move, but like nothing's changed. She hasn't skipped a beat. You know, EXP was not well known here. So when I joined, everybody thought I was crazy. But you know, so I'm just like I try to keep my track record going, and I'm just now starting to recruit more.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So one of the other changes made, and it's effective in July, it's not effective right this second, is they are offering, where this says 2,800, they are offering that this will be $4,000 in the first year for someone that you bring into your front line, meaning that you will get a bonus on them in the first year that they are with EXP. So instead of earning only $2,800 for them per year, that's your earning potential per year based on their capping, by the way. So that's the most that you can earn. Once they cap, that's it. But they're now offering that moving forward, starting on July 1st, you can earn $4,000 on them in their first year with EXP as a bonus. This is extremely impactful if you are recruiting a team, okay, for you and for them. Let's say that you are talking to a team or a brokerage or somebody that is going to be bringing their brokerage or their team with them that's of substantial size. This means that they have producing agents under them that they will be naming in their front line. This can be a very substantial amount that they can earn extra in that first year, right? Very impactful. Go ahead, Michelle.
So can you clarify? So, because I think I've heard it a couple different ways. So it starts in July and it's for that agent's first year, but is that only for agents that sign up after July? Like if you sign someone up next week,
Only
does
it only starts after for people that come in after July 1st.
after July 1st?
Yes,
Okay.
I cried a little bit too.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, and like you don't want to hold people up till
Yeah.
July. You want to get them over, but yeah, that's int I listened to the EXP thing. I understood it. There was a different date, so July is
I'll
maybe.
double check if something has shifted. But the notification, hang on, let me just drop this and go look again. I'm pretty sure it said July. July.
I thought Glenn went in his, went on the Friday meeting. I thought he said beginning next week. I could be wrong, but that's
Nope, that's okay. Let
how
me,
I heard it. So I
if
just want to
something
clarify
has
that's
shifted, I
important.
will definitely find out for you. Um, I'm looking. And let's see with new incentives. Okay, let's see. Sponsors will now receive, okay, up to $4,000 for a fully capped agent effective July 1st. This initiative is designed to reward those who contribute to growing our remarkable community. I'll go back and find out for you.
Okay, I mean, because it's only May.
Yeah, yeah. Same. I wouldn't want people to wait, right? Like if you're bringing somebody on. Um, so great question. Great question. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of the other things. There is the pay now possibility inside of revenue share, which was pretty incredible. MC, if you haven't had a chance to look at that, previously when you earned revenue share, obviously they calculated on the 15th or 16th of the month, and then you had to wait until that was done. And typically around the 21st, 22nd, you would get your payout. Now you have the possibility inside of your revenue share page that you can click a little button to say get paid now. Meaning that at that moment, if you needed to take some from your revenue share that you currently have in place, that it's showing as expected next, you have the opportunity to do that and get paid. I've done it. It took 1 day. Like I did it that day, it was in my account. The next day, it is a $1 fee. Like $1. I was like, well, that seems pricey. No, it was very, very affordable. So it just means that for those that do need access to those funds prior to that time of the month or whatever that is, then they have access to it, which is really impactful. Can be very impactful for people.
I think it's brilliant because EXP is like seeing that agents are struggling, business is hard. I mean, I can't tell you how many Facebook posts I see, on, agent groups, not necessarily EXP, but my rent's due. I need to pick a side gig up. Like people need that money. Maybe their rent's due or they have utilities due.
Yeah.
So just that you're able to do that and it comes Glenn said in the Friday meeting, in 24 hours, enough people clicked it that they paid out $1 million in Revshare in a 24-hour span.
Okay. It was
That
amazing.
tells you how much people are needing the extra money right now.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible. I thought that was incredible. Okay, so what does all of this mean, right? This means that we have an incredible opportunity to have conversations. I mean, literally that was announced and I was like texting people immediately. It came out and I was like screenshotting it and sending it to people that I had already just recruited that I knew that were going to be builders, or people that we knew that were on the fence and had not come yet. Right? We were video texting, we were texting, we were calling. We were like, have you heard? Did you hear the news? Right? We called people in our front line, making sure that they heard the news. We were really trying to make sure that people understood what this could possibly mean for people coming in, right? If, like I said, if you're bringing in a team or a brokerage, that financial change to $4,000, that can be very substantial for them. So what you have to do is take advantage of the excitement around this right now. Take advantage so that normally you're calling and you might be saying, hey, just checking in, seeing where things are. Have you made a decision? No. Okay. This is a very impactful conversation where you are calling them and saying, hey, they just announced this. This is incredible. I think this would be very powerful for you. Let's talk about it more, right? Make it an invitation to have a real conversation about it. Pull up the video that Glenn did and watch it together at the same time on Zoom if necessary. Whatever it is, they did announce inside that email, there's a toolkit. If you haven't used that, definitely go in and find that. They've even added more stuff to it since they started. There's infographics in there. There are videos that explain more about it. There are things that you can post on social media so that it's getting more attention. I've been talking nonstop this morning. There's a lot for you to be able to have conversations about. What has surprised me is I have definitely seen leaders on Facebook posting about it. I have not seen and I'm talking like I've seen the top of the top posting it for EXP. I have not seen it trickle down. And I'm like, why is nobody talking about this? I mean, I'm friends with a lot of our people on Facebook, and I'm like, why is this not getting out? When you think about how many people that you know in your own groups, right? Posting something about, and don't give away too much. Just be like, oh my gosh, have you seen what just happened? Right? Something exciting and amazing to draw them in. This is so much more powerful than just I'm calling to check in and see where you are in your decisioning. Right? And then explain it. There is an actual, there are a couple of scripts in there. They actually give you those as well. Like if you feel like you're struggling to understand or explain it, they did throw those in there. Like here's a nice script that you can follow if that's the case. But this is like the time to be on the phone with people, on the phone. MC, you came off of mute.
So, I must have missed it. So you're saying there was a big email on Friday?
It came out on, this one came out on May 1st at
Okay.
about 9:50 in the morning.
Okay, thanks.
And it came from Glenn Sanford.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom of it, there's a section that has a little link in it that says toolkit.
Gotcha.
And it gives you access. I would put the link in here, but every time I try to copy the link, it's like this long.
Right.
It doesn't come through. That toolkit has so much incredible information in it for you guys. That way you can study it and say, now I can speak really well to what I'm saying. Watch the videos, look at the charts, make sure you're understanding it. Some of the stuff about how they do the pooling, I still don't like, there's like a lot of numbers in there. I don't really understand. And I'm just like, I just nod. But the rest of it, I think if you could talk to people about what this could do for them, exactly what Michelle said, right? Not everyone's going to be a builder, but this is still very impactful. Right? When you think about people who have organizations Casey size or Brent Gove size, guys, I want you to understand there's a very small percentage on each level that builds. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And Casey has like one major builder in her front line. One. Okay. And that has equated to the size of her organization that has come down. Right? Everyone else is like, yes, I build a little bit, maybe I have a couple, but she's just got one in the front line. And then when you get to the second line, we have maybe 2, 3, that come in and those start to build. And then, like I said, you start to see it do this as a result, right? So it doesn't have to be that every person that comes in wants to build, but what this has done is given people who don't want that. How many, I mean, guys, you've probably had so many conversations with people that come in and they say, I don't want, EXP's a recruiting company. Yeah, hear it all the time, right? That's not my thing.
Or it's a pyramid. I like your tree analogy. No, we're not a pyramid. We're a tree.
Free.
And we have very strong roots
Yes. Yeah.
because the pyramid comes up all the time.
Yeah. And it's,
Yes, and I was wondering how you guys address the pyramid concept.
it's more about what you're like what Michelle said. It's like that you're growing. And for us, we're growing a community. It's
Okay.
not, we're growing a community, and you can do it or you cannot do it. It's entirely up to you, right? But you never know who you are attracting into your tree.
Mhm.
Like, you don't know if that person that you attract is going to say, wow, well, I know thousands of agents and I think I have a real opportunity here, right? And then all of a sudden your tree starts to grow and grow and grow as a result of that. But for agents who do have some influence, and people ask that question when they make that move, right? Now, instead of having that 5 requirement or that 10 requirement to get to that point to earn, they're going to be earning immediately. Like, they have that opportunity. And I think that's a beautiful, wonderful thing, that incentivizes people to say, oh, well, I don't have to recruit. However, I have this opportunity now to have a little bit of extra income that I wasn't going to have previously. It doesn't hurt, right? It's, we used to call it at KW, what, mailbox money when we got profit share. That was our mailbox money. My mailbox money from them, by the way, was like $26.72. Okay. Not a lot I could do with that. Now it's, a much more substantial amount. And especially now that I'll have 3 levels open, which is very impactful for me. I have quite a few people in my 2nd and 3rd level that I have just watched that go away every month. That's what I want you to understand, is that when you're having these conversations, this is opening something up for people who believed that the idea of joining that felt very far away. Revenue share for them. It felt unattainable, or they felt like they had all of these requirements that meant that was not going to be something that they could ever have access to. So you have to find a way when you're talking to them to really share the excitement of that. Really share the excitement. It only takes a couple of people to start building in that group. Like, mine is so small, but I have builders already, right? That started doing what they wanted to do and having that influence out there. So you have to look, it can be anything from an independent agent. Some people were talking to me the other day and they're like, well, this is really just impactful for teams and brokerages. I was like, no, super impactful for an independent agent. Super impactful. I mean, if you look at that, let's say that they only ever brought 4 people in their front line, right? Just say 4. And the first year they would earn 16,000 as long as those people were actually in production, right? Let's hope that you're influencing people to come that actually work and are in production. So they could earn up to $16,000 as long as those people cap in the first year. Okay, so who blinks at 16,000? Okay, an extra 16,000. That's 4 people times 4,000 once that bonus structure comes in. Who's going to complain about that? Then let's say those 4 people, maybe 1 or 2 of them bring a couple people on. And then now they're earning an additional, let's just see, $3,200 per agent that those people bring on that they cap. Like, on what planet does anyone complain about earning even an extra $15,000 or $20,000 a year for just having influence? Just having influence, right? It's an incredible opportunity even for an independent agent. Okay, I'm going to open it up. Anything else questions regarding that especially?
New chart still says 2,800.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
Oh, when I'm looking at the new chart, it looks like it still says 2,800 for tier 1.
Yeah, we're not going to change it until that's effective the July 1st date.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Just because I don't want there to be confusion.
Yeah,
But
okay.
now I'm going to follow up with what Michelle said and see if they're offering it before that. I mean, like, we didn't change it because it said July 1st on the date. So,
Okay.
but it should be up to 4,000 in the first year. Oh, I lost Michelle. Um, any other questions on that, MC? I know that you said that you had some, misunderstanding with regards to the tiers. Is there something that you feel like I could provide more clarity on?
I'm just gonna go study it on my own. Thanks
Okay.
for telling me when the email came out.
Yeah, you bet. Well,
Yeah.
it's a lot too, right? And I did not get to see the big agents meeting that was on Friday because that's at the same time as my Workman Success Master Coaches call, but I did hear that it was pretty amazing and that there was a lot of discussion around it. I've got to go back and find it. That I'm sure there's a recording of it. But a lot of people were texting me and they're like, "Are you on the call?" And I was like, "No, I'm on my other call." But I think there's going to be a lot of discussion around it on most of the company calls that are happening right now because there's so much excitement around it. So those would be good to plug into. If I can find it, MC, I'll send you the link. If I can find the recording of it. Let me just make myself a note. Recording Friday agent call. Sure, they put those somewhere so we can go back and see them. So do you feel like, I know that we've been talking about somebody that you kind of had on the fence. Do you feel like there's a way that you can utilize this moving forward in your recruiting?
I think this is big. I mean, if I was able to work with them and invite them, they have like 100 agents, so it would make a lot more sense for them,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
revisions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Especially in that first year during that bonus time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can be very impactful for that. I think I'm looking at that with a brokerage that I'm talking to right now, and she's trying to get out of the brokerage that she's in. Initially, they had refused, and now they're offering her buyout. So now we're doing the math on the agents that she has and what that would look at to replace what she'll have to spend on the buyout, right? Because all of her agents are pretty productive, and we were like, okay, well, it would be like you would only need about, actually, let me see. I'm looking at her buyout amount. So she would only need 15 agents to actually cap out of her entire brokerage in order to pay back her buyout in that first year, right? Not counting that they're all producers already, and she'd be earning on them moving forward every year over year over year. And if they had more influence in the marketplace and they brought people what she would earn down the road. But that's what we're looking at right now is like, is that how we get her in? Do we show her, okay, well, we can replace your buyout number with just 16 cappers, right? Very impactful if you've got somebody who's looking at a situation where they need a buyout. You know, so there's just a lot of different ways to look at this now. What I want to emphasize is that it doesn't have to be just big brokerages, just big teams. This can be very, very impactful for your everyday independent agent who never planned to recruit ever. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it feels very agent centric, the decision, right? Michelle, any thoughts or anything else that you want to discuss today, since I know it's just a small group?
I'm sorry I had to jump out. I hit a button and one of my previous Zoom recordings was playing and I was hearing it. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't, because I got double screens too, and I couldn't
Yeah,
get it to stop.
no worries.
So I missed a little bit of that. I
That's
apologize.
okay.
So that was about bringing over people. So like I have one agent I've been working on, and he's with KW or CB Global Banker. His buyout's not much, it's like 5 grand. So
Oh,
literally, like bring one person
one
with
person.
you,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's your money back.
yeah, exactly.
So people that have small but so this works really probably well for people who have small buyouts
Yeah, very.
because it'd be very easy to bring a buddy over
Yep,
that
very.
you know is going to cap
Yeah. And
after July.
I think that's it's a hiccup that we often see within, small with agents that are not teams or brokerages, where they say that same conversation where I'm not going to recruit or whatever. And to get them to understand the influence that they have in the marketplace when they make a change. Now, there's a way to do it right? You need to announce it. You need to be excited about it. It needs to be a big splashy thing that gets your phone to ring, where people call you and say, wow, what made you make that change, right? And then feeling comfortable having the conversation, telling your story, right? Showing them what Casey has inside of Empire Builders Pro for defining your story and being ready for that, so that then you put them in front of a third-party validation call that turns it into, yes, we'll absolutely help you bring that buddy over with you, right? But it's got to be that you're announcing it, right? You've got to be having that conversation out there. If you're like a secret agent and you're like, quietly make the change from CB to EXP, like you're not showing a lot of influence out there. I think about the first group I brought over there in South Carolina, Julie and Bernie Timms. Julie had run her own brokerage for 45 years. She was our Free Friday coaching call speaker this past week. 45 years independent brokerage, right? When she made the switch, all over social media, they announced a lot about it. Like she had stuff that she was advertising locally in Hilton Head, and her phone rang day one. Day one, people were like, why would you do this? You've been your own broker for 45 years. She's like, that's why I don't want to be my own broker. Like, I don't want that kind of responsibility, right? She had her story in place. She had like 3 lunches set up in the first week. She didn't reach out to anybody. That was just people calling, right? So it has to be done correctly. You tell that agent that you're talking to, like, absolutely, this is very possible based on the influence that you have in your own marketplace, but you can't be a secret agent about it. Like, we have to develop the story, we have to develop the conversation, and then they have to know that you pass them on to someone who can continue that conversation, because they're too new in this process to have that entire conversation on their own, right? You put them on third-party validation call and let somebody help them get that person across the finish line. Like you said, Michelle, it only takes one. It only
Right.
takes 1 or 2 can make a real
Well,
difference.
depending on what their buyout is, but if
Yes,
it's a
depending.
small buyout, you bring one buddy over, you earn after July 1st,
Yes.
you earn 4,000 on that one person that's gonna,
Yep.
that is gonna cap. It's not too difficult, but it's just a game changer with the 3 levels opened up.
I know. It's
And
really
then
cool.
obviously, I don't know, this is a time of year where people are busy,
Mhm.
right? So it's hard to, they're like, but I have these 3 listings I'm working on, and like they have stuff in the pipe.
Yes.
And not everybody is as gracious as EXP with a form to take your stuff with you, right?
Yeah.
These other brokerages hold them hostage. So are you finding that it's just really difficult to get people right now to make a move in the middle of the spring buzz?
It depends. We've had some that it's been totally based on their cap month, right? So I find that that is a very important question to ask. When is their cap month? Is that important to them? Because we do have cap deferment that we can ask for, things like that. If that is what's holding them back, because everybody's cap month and time frame is going to be different. So sometimes it can be about them being busy. We had one that we just brought on, and it was just like, we said, great, we're gonna but we timed everything, right? When that happens and they say, I'm really busy and it's gonna be hard for me to make the transition, guys, you have to remind them, you can do so much in the system right up until they transfer their license, right? They can do the whole joint application. All of the stuff is like approved by the back end. Like, everything is ready. There's like a lot that could be done. They get hung up thinking that means they've moved already. Nothing has happened until the license is transferred. They're like, I know, somehow people will know. No one will know. Like, no one knows, but you have to reassure them of that. So you can get all of that ready, right? We have somebody that we're bringing onto the team right now. Everything was ready. Signs are ordered, business cards are ordered, everything's been done on the back end of EXP. I'm literally just waiting for the quick transfer of license, right? And it was exactly for that reason, Michelle. She had business she had to finish out at 1. We needed to have like that little tiny break between finishing that one out and being able to move forward with the next one. But when we told her, we're like, look, we'll get everything ready. Everything on the back end is completely ready. And when you are ready to make the move, you feel like that one is closed, you're ready to pull over, we just click the button. right? So it's all about keeping them comfortable in the process.
Right. So you can order do you order through EXP, the business cards, or you just go to a third
No, we
party?
did ours. We just did
Yeah,
our own. Yeah, because
'cause
we
you have
use
your-
our own brand.
Yeah, when I joined, I had a couple things I was trying to close. My broker wouldn't let me take them.
Take them.
And I did that. I didn't get my business cards because I just didn't know that I could, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't get business cards, but I had my signs ordered
Mhm.
because I knew the minute that I did the DRE transfer, I had a listing.
Yeah.
And my sellers were waiting for me. They
Ours-
understood what I was doing and they're like, yeah, we'll wait for you. We want you. So I did that. I had all my signs, open house signs, everything was ordered. So I do tell people that, like, because well, my broker is going to know that I went to DRE and I did this, and I said, you're not going to go to DRE till all the other stuff. They're not
Everything
going
else
to know
done.
you signed the independent contractor agreement. They're not going to know anything till you actually are ready and you go to DRE to make the move, and then they'll be notified.
Right.
And we're not going to have you make the move with DRE till you close up your pipeline and we're ready. You're ready to actually like start working for EXP within that 24-hour span or day,
Yeah. And
however long it takes
it's
to
just about
certify you.
explaining it, right? And that's it. It's just like giving them like that comfort level of like, here's how this process works. Most people think that the second they start the Join app, like skywriters come by, like
The
somebody's
broker gets a
on there. Yeah,
notification.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nothing happens. It's totally on the down low. We've had somebody inside of the My Prospective Agents, and it was in Rick's for, I mean, gosh, 4 months, right? So she was like still trying to close some things out, and it just sat there. And I was like, when the time is right, then we push the button, right? So it's about explaining the process to them, and a lot of people just misunderstand it. And I think there's a lot that could be said. This happened last week, by the way. We had somebody in our organization bring somebody on, and this is where it can go very wrong, guys. So much communication needs to be had on the front end so expectations are clear. There was not enough communication. It was very urgent. This person did want to come in. They needed to put an offer in, but not everything was communicated properly on the front end. Okay, this person had multiple licenses in multiple states, had not been communicated that all licenses have to be moved. Okay, it very clearly says that in the ICA though. Most people don't read it. They just sign it. But it came up in the midst of trying to get MLS turned on and everything. It became a very big cluster. A lot of bad feelings, a lot of feelings that not everything had been communicated well, right? There's so much that can be done on the front end to just keep that from happening, because we certainly don't want that to be a new recruit's first experience. Is that, and by the way, guys, I want to be very clear about this as well. If you have somebody that you need to onboard, Laura and I are here for that. She's been trained to onboard as well through the Join app. Like, she will guide them through Zoom on how to do that. Please don't leave people out on their own to onboard. This young lady really had a terrible experience with it. She felt it was overwhelming. It had never been, we'd never been notified. Like, but her response afterwards was, "That was awful." And I was like, should not be awful. We have the ability to help them through that. Just book it with us. Let us know. Either Laura will handle it or we'll handle it together depending on what the situation is, but she's done several of them already on her own. We never want anybody that's their experience. We never want them to feel that they can't get help.
So I learned my lesson.
Uh-oh.
Well, you helped me, but so I had a recruit. She wasn't ready. And I said, when you're ready, let me know and I'll walk you through the process. Well, she didn't let me know. She just went on and signed up.
That's yes.
And she signed up with no sponsor, but she thought by putting me as the mentor that meant sponsor. She didn't know. So EXP, so I said, well, you need to go back to EXP. And it had literally been like, it was less than 24 hours.
I
And
remember.
tell them, oh, I made a mistake. I thought, whatever. And they said, oh, no, you got to leave EXP for 6 months. So she came back. She's like, oh my God, I got to leave EXP for 6 months. And I said, let me see let me see if I can get a hold of someone. So I got a hold of Selina and Casey. Selina jumped in and they said, show us proof that you have been conversing with this person about coming to EXP. And luckily she saved all the texts between, we had been conversing since January.
Wow.
She sent him that and we were good to go, golden, all good. She's onboarded. She actually was part of our team meeting yesterday, so she's super excited. And
That's
she's already got a listing coming.
Yay. Yay. Yeah, that is a very good example though of how it can go awry. So
And had we not kept the communication, or had she not, I think EXP was gonna dig in on that.
yeah, and they do.
So,
They do.
and they have to, because somebody joins and then someone finds out, and then you're like, well, why didn't you who's your sponsor? Well, I didn't name anyone. Oh, go back to them and tell them that you were talking to me. Like,
Yeah.
I get why they are very strict on that, because it could be the wild, wild west out there if they need rules. Those are the
Yes.
rules.
And just to give you guys an example, so what we do is when I'm going to pull it up so you can see it 1 second. We have a template already saved. Hang on. So that when we have somebody coming on, I'll show you what it looks like. And we know that we are about to have a call to onboard them. This is what it looks like. So basically we tell them what to come prepared with, right? And so this is why, okay, because 9 times out of 10, I get on one of these calls and they don't have stuff. And then we have to like schedule it again. And then I want to just like, murder somebody. So we send them all of this so that they're completely ready, like have your social security number or your EIN, because some people like me do it in an LLC, right? Your real estate license number, your NERDS number. If they don't know their NERDS number, I give them the link to go and look up their NERDS number, their MLS agent ID, your credit card number, and your bank account number, right? All of these things are like, I know this is going to shock you. It's just a system. Okay. It's just a system to get them ready so that you can guide them through the process, or we can guide them through the process and know they're completely ready. Now, I did just realize I probably need to have something in here that says, be very clear who your sponsor is beforehand. But I should probably 9 times out of 10, when this is booked with us by somebody that we don't know, I know that because they've reached out to me and asked me to onboard them. But because we are doing it with them, Laura and I can ensure that nobody's missing anything. We're not having to schedule another Zoom call. We're guiding them through any questions that might come up. And we're also then setting the expectation of what the next step is. Here's what happens next. Here's what you can expect. It's going to be reviewed by EXP on the back end. The broker's going to review the documents. You're going to get another email that says everything's been reviewed. And then eventually it's going to get to the step of transfer your license. We have actually done that with them as well online. Like, if need be, they do get a very detailed email that tells them how to do that when the time comes. That comes directly from EXP. But sometimes people just need a little extra handholding and they need to not feel so overwhelmed by everything. All right. So that is definitely something that you guys should, if you feel like you don't have the time for it, please reach out to us because we're happy to do it. So that I never get that call where someone says I had a terrible experience. Right. Guys, first impressions are everything. First impression.
I have a video too that
Mhm.
like totally walks them through.
Yeah,
And there's
it does.
arrows. It's like, now do this, and I have that. That's probably for the person who's doesn't need their hand held.
Yes. Yeah. I
And
mean, there's some people do it so fast. Louder, and I had one, a couple of weeks ago, right? That guy was like, zoop. Like, I was like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, he is so fast. And then I get on with other ones, and it is like, even with everything that we do with them online, I'm like, I'm not sure how you sell real estate.
yeah.
Um, but
So if we do need to have an onboarding call that's on Empire Builders, we just go, is there a place that says schedule onboarding call, or?
I have, hang on, let's see if I still have it. I think I have it
And I would
inside.
love a copy of your templated letter.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. I've been
Okay,
working on my templates.
I will send it to you right now. MC, would you like it as well?
And then I don't know if Laura and Michelle would be willing to describe what the buyouts mean. I haven't heard that term before.
So a buyout for an agent, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, speaking to someone who is with Exit Realty, and she's still under contract with them. They did something bad, and they made a mistake, and she was very unhappy, and she said she wanted out. Now she owns that franchise where she is, but she's still under contract for 2 years with them.
Right. Okay.
And she told them how upset she was about what had happened, and they still did not want to let her out. So she went back again, she went higher up, and she was like, I can stay here and let everyone else in the franchise know how unhappy I am while I'm here, or you can let me out. So they offered a buyout, meaning that they would let her buy out of her franchise agreement for a certain amount
Mm.
of money, right?
Okay.
Which was better than her wanting to stay, right?
And do individual agents face that as well?
Michelle, you said yours did, right, at CB?
Yeah, so what they do, what like some of the brokerages as agents are producing in order to keep them, they like them in a contract. They always want you in a 4-year contract. I know CB does. I
CB.
think Sotheby's does too. So we're going to give you a bonus, but this bonus is dependent on you staying for 4 years. If you leave within the 4 years, you owe the prorated amount of the bonus back. So they're basically lending you your own money, right? So, you know, whatever his bonus was, he was down. I think he owed, I think it was 18,000, I'm sorry, 8,000 or 4,000. That was his buyout to be able to get out of that contract. And
That's
so
crazy.
I hear that a lot around here, like a lot of these agents, they take that carrot and they really dangle the carrot. Like the market wasn't great last year, so everybody took the carrot because they thought they needed that 25,000 or whatever the amount of money is. Like I know when I first switched, they called me oh, you know, I can't believe you went to EXP, and you know, we want to offer you 150,000 to come over to Coldwell Banker. And I was like, you're just loaning me my own money. I can make that with EXP and I have no commitment, no contract, no payback. So thank you. It's flattering, but that's a no, right? So that's what they do is they dangle the carrot and then those people feel stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of people with Compass who had that issue. We had a lot of people with Side who had that issue. So it just kind of depends on what their situation is and whatever it is that they signed, right? So it's something to consider, right? If somebody says I'm stuck, right? You know, and if they're not willing to make the move, this is something that might help them make the move if they have influence, right? And especially for a team or a brokerage, when they start doing the math on what that can look like. Now, obviously, we still have incentives that EXP offers outside of that. There are incentives that they boost and oh my gosh. I don't know why I can't think of it right this second. The ones that they do offer. So like for instance, MC, I know the one that you're talking to, it's a large group, right? Very large group. So when we have something like that we're trying to bring over, there's a whole process that you go through with corporate to see if there's a potential offer that can be made. So the one that I'm doing that's for Exit Realty, now that she's ready to have that conversation, now that she's ready and she knows that she has a possibility for a buyout, the next step is to request a conversation with corporate. So there's an actual form that you fill out that gives them a little bit of information about that particular brokerage. Once that happens, you have a 15-minute pre-call with corporate, whoever's local in that area with the growth team. Then they open up a spreadsheet that allows you to have, they give it to that person as well, whoever that broker or team leader is in that situation, and they fill in their numbers for the last rolling 12 months. And what happens is when they're putting in each agent and how much that person earned and how many transactions they closed and whatever their current split is in that situation. Then what happens is EXP then takes that, and on the other side of that sheet, they show what it would look like if they had spent the last 12 months with EXP. Because now we're comparing apples to apples, right? So what was in their mind a nebulous, like, I don't know what it would look like. Maybe I would earn more. Maybe like, what would the change look like for me? They actually, then you jump on an hour-long call all together with them, with growth team, and they compare it. And if an offer is to be made, that is when they'll do it. Like if they qualify. They'll find out, is this a mega team? Great. They can qualify for a $4,000 cap instead of an $8,000 cap when they're a team member. If there's an opportunity that they can offer a stock bonus as a result of that brokerage bringing over enough people, they might do it that way. There's a couple of different ways that they do it, but the only way to get to that point is to start that process with corporate and say, now we'd like to compare the numbers so that this team leader, brokerage owner, whatever it is, now can see the numbers in real time. Because before, when it's nebulous, right, you might be sitting there with a piece of paper and a calculator and starting to try to figure things out, but they have a really good numbers guy that on the back end shows that in the spreadsheet. And now you're comparing apples to apples. You're like, okay, well, if I had been with EXP for the last 12 months, this is what it would have looked like compared to what I currently did. Does that make sense? Anybody else done one of those yet? Nope. Yeah, I do them all the time. Yeah. And the growth team is great because they actually help you with getting them across the line. Right. So it's really, really nice because it's not just you at that point. Now they're explaining it and they're making sure that the person on the other side is also like guiding them through. All right. Anything else?
When I came over, I was trying to get my broker to come over. My broker ended up closing. So I left and they closed 30 days later. And Rick, I mean, we had 3 lunches with him and his wife. I mean, there's a brokerage that had been around for 45 years. And he just dug in. He didn't want to fill out this stuff. It's like he didn't want to see the apples to apples. It was very strange.
That does happen.
And yeah, and he went to Sotheby's and tried to bring as many people as possible from not everybody followed him. Some did, some followed me, but anyway, some people just don't want to share that information for some reason.
It's true. I actually get a lot of pushback on it. Where I'll be like over and over again, hey, how are we doing on filling out the spreadsheet? Hey, what's happening with the spreadsheet? And I'm like, it's very difficult for me to actually get you any numbers or any information from corporate if you don't do it. So it does happen. And I'm like, well, there's not much I can help you with if you won't help yourself. So, and that's when you know that someone's not all that interested. So, you have to be aware as well on the DISC assessment, like who's a high D, who's a C. So the people who are C's freaking love that spreadsheet. Like they will be the ones that are done in 10 minutes after you send it to them, because they're going to pore over it and they're going to look at it 1,000 times to see exactly what those numbers mean. A high D, they're like, I don't even want to see the spreadsheet. I just want you to tell me what the bottom line is. But they have to have somebody in their organization who hopefully is a C that can put that information in. Now, and I've even done it, guys, and this is a one step further that if you have to do it, you have to do it. I will tell them, send it to me. Send me your printout that you have that does your end of year, whatever, that shows what your agents did and whatever, and I will manually input it in the spreadsheet for you. Like when I get a high level D broker that is like, I am never going to spend the time putting this in, I'm like, great, just print it out from whatever you're currently using and I will manually enter it myself, because they're never going to do it, but then they love the end result. So sometimes you have to go one step further because they're not going to get out of their own way. They're just not. So, all right. Well, thank you, ladies. I'm sorry it was such a small group, but I'm also happy it was a small group because I felt like we were able to accomplish so many things today. So I sent you both the template already. You have that in your emails.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Selena.
Yeah,
Do you have any plans for Mother's Day weekend? Is your husband home?
No, he's in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in South Carolina. I did put in the chat, guys, that is my Calendly link. If you want to request an onboarding, that is it. So you can steal that if you want to. And just so you guys know, any emails that you ever get from me, and there's a little button at the bottom of my email that says like book a meeting. If you ever click that, it opens up all of the possibilities of my Calendly options. So like it can be anything from a 15-minute meeting to this onboarding meeting to 45 minutes. Like I have like, I don't know, 15 different options in my Calendly. So if you're ever like, I wish I could find that link, just open up any email for me that has that in my signature, and click the book a meeting, and it'll open up all my options. You can always book direct.
Thank you, Selena.
You're so welcome, ladies. Thank you for today.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.